Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal and today I'm going to be talking about heavy periods. Now the reason why I want to talk about heavy periods is because I think a lot of people don't understand what a heavy period is, because I know for me when I was learning about this topic I was like, what does that visually even look like? Because we're supposed to bleed when we have our periods, so what makes a period heavy versus light? So a heavy period is a form of abnormal uterine bleeding. It's not normal to have a heavy period, and a heavy period is a period where you lose more than 80 milliliters of blood. A heavy period can also be defined as a prolonged period of more than 7 days. So if you're bleeding for longer than 7 days, that's actually considered a heavy period. And the really crazy thing is that 1 in 5 menstruators experience heavy bleeding. So it is really common, but usually it goes undiagnosed because people just don't know that it's not normal. So like I said earlier, a heavy period is a period where you lose more than 80 milliliters of blood. Now I know you're probably looking at me and you're like, girl, what does that even mean? Like, how much is 80 milliliters of blood? So it's really easy to measure how much blood you lose. Oh my god, that's a tongue twister. It's actually really easy to measure how much blood you lose if you use a menstrual cup. So if you are experiencing heavy periods, maybe look into getting a menstrual cup, because not only do they hold more flow than like a regular tampon, but you can actually measure how much blood you are losing, and then you can write that down and take it to your doctor and be like, yo, there's something going on. The other way to figure out if you have a heavy flow is if you have to change your tampon or pad every hour or two. Now that could be initially like the first day or two of bleeding, or that could last your entire period. So if you're changing your tampon or pad every 2 hours, or you have to get up in the middle of the night to change your tampon and pad, or you are doubling up on tampons or pad because you are losing so much blood, you might also notice that you do pass large clots quite frequently. Now the reason why it's important to know what your flow is like and if you do have a heavy flow is because there's a lot of causes. Now the most common condition that can cause a heavy period is hormonal imbalance. And so that could be like high estrogen and very low progesterone. It could look a variety of different ways, but hormonal imbalance is a big cause, as well as thyroid disease. So if you have hypothyroidism, that can actually cause you to have a heavy flow. Other things that can cause a heavy flow would be liver or kidney disease, polyps or fibroids. You may also experience heavy bleeding if you have a copper IUD. And of course there are other things like pelvic inflammatory disease, which is a very serious condition. You could have a bleeding disorder. Your heavy periods could also possibly indicate cancer. And then of course heavy periods can also be due to an ectopic pregnancy. And that's why it's really important to be checked out if you are experiencing heavy bleeding, or if you just like randomly have a really heavy period. Now another really common cause of heavy periods is actually low iron. So low iron can cause you to have a heavy period, and then heavy periods can actually cause you to have low iron. So it's kind of a vicious circle. And so it's just so important to get this condition looked at. Some people do experience heavy bleeding and it can have no known cause. They could have, ruled out everything and there's no cause, but that is on the rare side. Like usually it is a condition that is causing you to have a heavy period. So how is a diagnosis of heavy periods even made? Well, it is based on your symptoms. So that is why cycle tracking is so important. And it is also really important to count the number of tampons or pads you use, or to try to measure the menstrual blood in your menstrual cup. Once your doctor realizes like, oh my god, you have a really heavy period, then you can look at doing more blood testing or more in-depth testing to see if you have any of the conditions that I mentioned earlier. And of course, once you get a diagnosis and you start doing like all that testing, that leads us into treatment. So how do you treat a heavy period? Well, that is going to be different for everyone because everyone is going to have a different root cause. So there is no like one treatment plan. It really just depends on what's going on in your body. I hope you guys learned something in this video. I hope I explained this condition as best as I can. If you have anything to add, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, your cycle matters so much and I'm here for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!